M. Night Shyamalan made a major announcement on Twitter this morning, but here is your warning. If you have not seen Split and you do not want spoilers, you're warned. But if you want some very exciting news, stay tuned because I'm Sasha Pearlraver and this is Screen Junkies News. M. Night Shyamalan dropped a bomb on Twitter today when he revealed that his next film will be a sequel to both Unbreakable and Split, titled Glass. The Universal Studios film is set for release on January 18th, 2019, and M. Night confirmed it will feature returning stars Bruce Willis, Samuel L. Jackson, James McAvoy, and Anya Taylor-Joy. With me to discuss are Roth Cornett, Jay Washington, Dan Merle, and on social, Charlie Feldman. All right, guys. So the reason that I had to put up the spoiler is if you have not seen Split, you might not know. Again, spoiler warning. If you don't want to know these things, stop watching.
Stop this moment. Okay.
But if you do, you would not know that Split and Unbreakable are in the same universe.
Yeah. Right.
So we now know that we are going to get Glass.
Mm-hmm.
Who's excited?
Feeling chart?
Yeah. Feeling chart? Everybody's got a 10? Roth, you went first. What do you think?
I like that you raised your hand first.
You raised your hand first.
Become the third grade teacher.
You brought up the feeling chart, which is a very nice callback. So I want to know, what are your feelings?
I'm very positive about this. First of all, one of the things that I think that's been interesting since Split came out was that obviously we were all very excited about the Unbreakable tie-in. Unbreakable is my favorite M. Night movie. I know, comments about The Sixth Sense aside, I love Unbreakable. It was a comic book movie done well, that was engaging for an audience before that genre was at its height as it is right now. Mm-hmm. And it was a really deft exploration into the villain hero archetypes, right? Wow, look who's fancy with the words this morning.
Archetype.
I haven't even had the coffee yet.
This girl. Okay.
Yeah, I loved it. I love the idea that this man who was so broken, literally and figuratively, was looking for his other so his life could have any meaning, right?
Yeah.
And it was his other just happened to be somebody that he wanted to fight. I'm like,
welcome to marriage.
Violence. Welcome to marriage. Exactly. Welcome to relationships. I'd like to fight you for the rest of my life. Let's put a ring on it.
Dan.
We're all going to go through that discussion.
Yeah.
Dan's like, don't do me.
Totally.
Completely different experience, but continue.
Wait, the movie or?
This is going to be a weird discussion.
Well, are you excited?
I love Dan judgments.
I feel like this is one of those things where when you say the name M. Night Shyamalan, some people get nervous because let's be honest,
Lady in the Water.
There was a period of time where things got a little
weird,
dicey.
Weird.
We'll call
More
it
than
dicey.
a little dicey.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Unbreakable for so long was kind of the forgotten M. Night movie because I think people, after Sixth Sense, people expected a certain type of thing, and Unbreakable was not that thing. Mm-hmm. But it's a movie that certainly grew on me over the years. I grew to appreciate it a lot more. I think that discussion is legitimately open to, is this his best film? Wow. And it's so, in this age of this, what we do here every day and what so many other people do every day, for him to be able to pull off, first of all, and Split this thing of, I'm going to make a sequel to a movie, you're not even going to know that I'm doing it, and you're not going to know walking in that I'm doing it, I'm not going to announce 2 weeks before that I'm doing it, you're just going to go see it, and at the very end, oh, boom, by the way, this is a sequel to this movie that I made. With a different studio, by the way. This is the Sony Spider-Man deal of independent superhero movies. The fact that Touchstone made Unbreakable, now Blumhouse and Universal are doing Split, and now I guess, I don't know how this is going to work. But I love the fact that he's kind of returning to this thing, this thread that's been in his head, and I hope that it brings out the best in him.
Yeah,
because, when he's passionate about it, and you can tell he's very passionate about this. He was very excited to announce this. And with that team on board, I think it could be a really interesting way to wrap up these two kind of very unique superhero/supervillain movies.
Jay, what are your thoughts?
I'm interested to see how the two villains work. Kevin being the way he is with the multiple personalities, and Elijah Glass just being, he was so focused on David Dunn. And he just seemed so assuming because he could break, all his bones were brittle. But yet you find out at the end, he caused catastrophe all over the world. So to go back what Rolf was saying was he was looking for his opposite in Elijah Glass. And then you find out now you have Kevin. This isn't his opposite. It's like an equal bad guy, maybe worse. Then you find out again in the movie, did Elijah cause that train wreck? because we found out he did actually. I'm sorry, he caused a train wreck. Do you find out, is he mad at him? You find out, is he gonna be mad at different people?
Well,
does he do different things? How does he handle, when he gets into all this interaction with everybody together?
Roth, you were talking before this about how there were sort of really covert seeds laid into Split about sort of how these worlds could be unified, like potential seeds.
Yeah, potentially. And people have pointed out, obviously, the reveal at the end ties them together
Of course.
definitively. But yeah, to your point, Mr. Glass, is all about the mind, right? He's all about But Kevin, is all about physicality, right? So the two of them together, I think, are really dangerous. But yeah, people have pointed out, Pop Sugar and Birth Movies Death have pointed out that Kevin's father may have died in that train crash, right? Because at the end of the movie, you remember he goes and he lays down these flowers and he makes this transformation.
Right.
It looks like a ritual that has high significance for him. And also his therapist said, your father got on a train and he never came back. Some people are theorizing that maybe the devastation, his father was a barrier to the abuse he received from his mother. And when he was gone, then it was just sort of, he was fully abused and that's when he developed the split personalities. And that, who would he hold responsible? Now, it seems to me, maybe he would resent David for having survived, but Mr. Glass is to blame.
But this is the classic, this is what Shyamalan has done so well in these two films, is he's taken comic book tropes and kind of done the trope, but done it in a very interesting way, because that is such a classic thing of a villain needs somebody to fight a hero that he can't fight because he doesn't have those powers. He finds somebody whom he can manipulate, who can match up against the hero, and then sets them against each other. And that's such a, I think that could be such a great dynamic, because when you think about it, the way that Kevin is at the end of this, the Beast, is he's unbreakable.
Yeah.
He has that same power that Bruce Willis has.
He's the actual opposite.
He's the actual opposite.
Right.
He's the
So
actual opposite,
they could now, I think Samuel L. Jackson, Mr. Glass, has a henchman that can fight Bruce Willis where he can't, and if that's the way that they go, that's going to be, I think, hopefully a really fun way to kind of use a comic book trope, but do it with this kind of depth that he's given these characters.
And
How do you bring Elijah Glass back into the fold?
Oh, so this is a good question that Jay brought up earlier.
How do you bring him back? Because we find out in Unbreakable, he's either locked up in prison or an insane asylum.
Yeah.
He's gone. Like, how do you get a guy whose bones are just fidgety and fickle, and like anytime, how does he escape prison?
It's comic books, first of all. People mastermind from prison all the time.
And also not even in comic books, just
And
in
in
life.
reality.
Yeah.
Like,
watch Goodfellas.
yeah.
That's, Norman Bates got released from an insane asylum too.
Yeah.
It's like, if he's in an insane asylum, that's a lot easier
than a regular prison.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do want to see the same Elijah Glass hair. I don't care what anyone says. I want to see that same hair.
Put it up.
Put that hair on.
We need it. We need to see.
I want that hair in this movie.
Yes. Okay, so
God,
right
I love
now,
that movie.
every studio
So good.
is all about world building.
Yes.
We gotta build a world. We gotta have a brand. You can't have 7 Fast and Furious movies. You need 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
With spinoffs.
What do you think the chances are that this is part of a larger Shyamalana universe?
Shyamalana universe.
Yeah.
We're gonna try this name for
A
this?
larger Shyamalaverse.
Shyamalaverse.
Yes.
Shyamalaverse.
I believe Honest Trailers coined the term Shamalaverse.
Shamalaverse. Yes,
Shamalaverse.
a Shamalaverse. Do we think that they're going to do that?
Split was good because I thought Split was great because it was really focused. Like it clearly, by the time he becomes the Beast, he is living in an alternate universe, which the Unbreakable tie-in only made that movie better because it's like slightly heightened, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Slightly different than our universe. I want to know how she's playing into it. Is what I really want to know.
Anya Taylor-Joy.
Anya Taylor-Joy. But we do not need the references to The Happening in here.
Nobody needs the happening. Nobody needs
Y'all
the
don't put
happening.
down to the happening, okay? I just want to see.
No, we're not.
This is the only reason I keep saying it. I know it's a horrible movie. It's the worst movie ever. I just need a reason to not say the trees was killing people. Just have me say somebody controls the trees, and that's it. That's all I need, and then I'll be fine. And I can say it's horrible, but okay, there's a superhero. I'm good. But just to say the trees are killing.
So basically, basically what you need to know is that actually it wasn't the trees that were killing people, nor that Mark Wahlberg teaches science. You need it to be Rosie O'Donnell, who starred in Wide Awake, which was before M. Night Shyamalan went to do The Sixth Sense. It was her controlling the wind, and therefore, and like the lady in the water and the wind were talking to each other.
You just went too deep.
This is Captain Planet now.
And the lady in the water and the village are together because the water. Signs. It's the lady in the water and signs, and like she's controlling the water so the aliens can't invade the planet. No? All right. It's not my universe. But you know whose universe it is?
It's the darkest universe. That's what it is.
And then suddenly the Sixth Sense happens, and he's like, oh, I not only see dead people, but I also control dead people, and that's my superpower. And aren't you that therapist that was dead? It's weird that you're now a superhero.
Somebody just woke up waking and baking watching us, and now they just lost their damn mind.
Like,
it's all possible.
We do not need crazy tie-ins.
Pull up.
Dan, lay it on us. Do we need crazy tie-ins?
No, we do not.
I don't want them. I'm just saying, there's a meeting right now where somebody's like, well, hold on. And also, I want to get a fact check. Does Touchstone even still exist? Because I remember I loved Touchstone back in the day. Brought us such beauties as Pretty Woman.
Yeah.
But do they even still exist?
I think it was a division of Disney, so I think they technically exist, but it's under the
They just
Disney.
don't really put things out anymore.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, you know that there's a meeting going on right now saying, so how are we going to do more of these tie-ins? But there's also a meeting going on saying, how are we going to do this movie? And we wanted to include you guys in that meeting and say, what do you want to see in this Unbreakable Split crossover? So I'm going to go to Charlie Feldman right now on social. What do people have to say to that Twitter query?
So it is Walt Disney. They are partner Walt Disney and their distribution arm. So that's what they're surviving on.
Nice.
And also, you guys, in honor of Jonathan Demme, who passed today, don't you think they're going to have Elijah partner with David and try to catch the beast in a sort of Hannibal Lecter sort of way?
That's interesting. That's very interesting.
And so
I like that.
That's my thought.
Then I like that theory. Tell me about Anya Taylor-Joy. How is she playing into this?
She's not a miracle worker, Rob. She just came up with a great pitch.
One good idea at a time.
God.
The twist that I've been dead inside the whole time.
She's flashback. She's in
What was your
flashback.
last idea, Charlie?
Hilarious.
Nobody knows that better than M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah,
you're only as good as your last idea.
Seriously. But what did people say? What are they hoping to see in this?
Here is what everyone who tweeted at us wants a good story. Like Delisha Russell says, hopefully Shyamalan can deliver on another successful movie. Critic and box office wise, I just want a good story.
Yeah, totally.
And we have Josh Hartage saying, not whispering all the dialogue would be nice too. That drove me nuts in Unbreakable.
Well, he's had 17 years to figure out that, you could speak at full volume. I think this is going to be great. I truly believe that this is going to be like the reconnaissance.
If he keeps it,
The Shyamalan.
Do you think there's too much
The
pressure on him?
Shyamalan-a-sance.
Do you think there's too much pressure on him for this script?
I think if this is something that's been in his head and he wants to do, I hope that he resists the urge to go too big with it, because that was the great thing about Unbreakable and Split was that they're very small, they're very focused, they're very personal movies. His big movies are the ones, the bigger that he goes, it seems like the worse they get.
Yeah.
The smaller that he goes, the better that they get.
But this one has to be bigger now, right?
It has to be a little bigger, but I don't think he needs to do massive worldwide destruction.
But they can be subtle. It's like they can be, these are all high concept movies, right? But I think Unbreakable and Split, you're right. They were subtle. They were incredibly focused. They were about these characters and this story. And they weren't even like, it's interesting that in a world where comic book movies are so standard and we're used to seeing people run around in capes and things, it's interesting to me to see an exploration of that where they're not doing that, where it's not standard, where it's still much more pulled back.
Absolutely. Well, we want to know, are you guys excited about this budding Shyamalan-sance or a Shyamala universe or whatever we're going to call it? I leave that to the honest trailers, guys. But let us know in the comments below. Tweet us at SJ News. Make sure to like and subscribe. And of course, you can always click here for more Screen Junkies news.